Joining us now to unpack President Mnangagwa's State of the Nation address is Zimbabwean politician Tendai Biti. Mr. Biti, very good evening. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I suppose the first thing for us to inquire is your reaction to that State of the Nation address by President Mnangagwa.
Well, with great respect, it failed to address the real challenges facing Zimbabwe, and it represented a missed opportunity of showing leadership. The starting point of any State of the Nation address must be the assumption that there's actually a nation, and beyond a geographical, beyond Zimbabwe being a geographical unit, we actually don't have any nation to talk about. We don't have a common vision. We are so polarized. We are so disunited. We are so abused by violence, by politics of intolerance, politics of exclusion, and extractive politics. So if anyone wants to lead Zimbabwe and provide the State of the Nation address, it must be one whose starting point is the aspect and imperator of nation building, the aspect and imperator of nationhood. How do you create a common vision? How do you create and restore a social contract? How do you establish a new consensus? How do you recalibrate Zimbabwe's policy?
So how should, Mr. Biti, how should that stuff
was lacking?
How should it be calibrated? What should have the plan been from President Mnangagwa?
Zimbabwe has been battered and abused for 44 years through violence, through genocide, through economic mismanagement, through plunder, through stolen elections. So as Zimbabweans, we need to start from square zero, a situation where we dialogue and define the Zimbabwe which we want, a Zimbabwe which answers the national question. What does it mean to be a Ndebele in Zimbabwe? What does it mean to be a Kalanga in Zimbabwe? What does it mean to be a Manika in Zimbabwe? What does it mean to be a Hlengwe in Zimbabwe? We have not answered those national questions. We remain polarized, we remain intolerant, and because our body politic is rotten, we are the sick men of sub-Saharan Africa.
Well, I suppose another question that potentially has not been answered is a question around the economy and the continual struggle that most Zimbabweans are under at the moment. And looking at Mnangagwa's address today, some of the issues that he talked about, in fact, the budget does not speak to many of the issues that were hoped to be taken care of. What we find is that the bulk of that money is going to salaries and not actually for any capital expenditure.
The economy, at the end of the day, is a function of confidence. The economy, at the end of the day, is a reflection of whether there is national consensus in that economy. And whereas in Zimbabwe, you don't have that, you can't expect Zimbabwe to have an economy. And I don't know why we have a minister of finance. We have to resolve the elephant in the living room, which is politics. The budget presented today was a total disaster. People expected the same to deal with the issue of the miscued exchange rates. We should go back to a complete regime of dollarization. We should liberalize the Zimbabwean dollar, float the Zimbabwean dollar. We should remove the auction system, which is an instrument of arbitrage. We should liquidate the gold coins, which are again an instrument of arbitrage. We should lower interest rates. Our interest rates of 200% are choking the economy and driving the economy into a recession. Our growth rate, according to the minister, will be 3.8% in 2023, but everyone knows that the underlying assumptions here used are totally skewed. He depends on growth on a buoyant global economy, but we know that the global economy is shrinking. We know that the global economy is suffering from the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war. It depends on 3.8% on the basis of power and energy. Kariba is sinking and is operating at below normal levels. Our installed capacity of energy is 2,000 megawatts, but any given time we can't generate more than 500 megawatts. So that budget is a reflection of voodoo economics, it's a reflection of incompetence, it's a reflection of vacuousness.
Well, Mr. Biti, the next election is about a year away. How prepared are you as Triple C to take over the baton, if you will? Are you ready? Are you going to offer that challenge to Zanu-PF?
The people of Zimbabwe, you know this very well. You've always been ready. The people of Zimbabwe want change and want change yesterday. So the problem has never been about the electorate. The problem has always been about the electorate. The problem has never been about the alternative winning the election. The alternative has always won the election. Morgan Tsvangirai won the election. Nelson Chamisa won the 2018 election. The problem has always been about power transfer. And that's why we need reform. And that's why we need Cyril Ramaphosa to provide the leadership, which so far he has failed to provide.
Mr. Biti, I appreciate your time this evening on Africa Today. That was former Zimbabwe Finance Minister and opposition party leader, or deputy leader.